So it's very clear now that the end is upon the Mandams. So if you are not ready, that's it. Get yourself ready because things we are hearing out here are too much. So apparently there's a pastor, apostle. This is the Mandam here. You can see him. He's very much dressed. He's very properly dressed. Like all the other Charlies. The man them has words. He has certain things that he wants to add, wants to pronounce certain things. So we're gonna give him an ear, but we'll also make a defense to see biblification or biblically is the man them really in order. It's the Reality Show with the daily Christian commentary videos. If it's the first time over here, be sure to check out the other videos that are down in the pinned comments, and I must see you over there. Please scooch over. The man them can have a little bit of room. Let's give him room to explain himself. I think his name is Apostle Anthony. And so one of you guys sent me this video and said, Ricky, hey, Dian Tsakamontle, let's see what the man them is saying. Hey.
Death is a journey to heaven. Why can't you part?
So he's asking, if death is a journey, why is it that when someone dies, we do not create a party out of it? Okay. So he's dismissing the idea that we are journeying to God or journeying to heaven. That's the thing that he has an issue with. Okay.
It's a journey. Go well, sister.
So this is what he says we should be doing. We should be celebrating and out there all about. So basically, that's what he says. If death was a journey to God again.
Okay.
Enjoy ourselves.
But common sense will tell you it's something that is not normal. When somebody is sick, you will start to cry. No matter you call it a journey, but the truth in the innermost of you will tell you this is not a journey.
Okay, then what is it then?
And the Bible says God is not a killer. So we have not yet found God. We are still looking for God.
It says we have not found God. So already you can hear there's a bit of discrepancy here because first of all, he says death is not a journey to the afterlife. I mean, like even unbelievers believe that death is journeying from the physical plane into the unseen. That's clear. Now he says, no, it's not a journey. So we should be remaining here. But not only that, we haven't found God, he says. Hey, these are these apostles. What kind of an apostle are you? Apostle set forth doctrine. This apostle wants to Anyways, let's let the man them go back to what you are saying. Okay, you were saying.
And about the so-called generals.
Yeah, there's no such a thing. So the people that deceived us are the people that we know as generals. Okay.
That's why now God is a mindset, and somebody is telling you God is in heaven. Where is heaven? Okay, go to heaven. If heaven was a good place and God is a good man and is a good shepherd, why did he not take us to the right place in advance?
Ivan. Okay, first of all, if God is a good... What are you saying? What are you saying?
Okay, go to heaven. If heaven was a good place and God is a good... Okay, go to heaven.
What's the point of that statement? Saying no, yeah.
God is a mindset.
God is a mindset. God is a mindset. Does that work? So there's no character behind it. There's no one that's instructing Moses. It's a mindset. Moses was mental, basically. When the Bible speaks about people praying, no, it's a mindset. They delusional. How do you pray? You. I don't know him. Maybe he doesn't pray. I suspect Yes, God is a mindset.
And somebody is telling you God is in heaven. Where is heaven? Okay, go to heaven. If heaven was a good place and God is a good man and is a good shepherd, why did he not take us to the right place in advance?
So if God is a good God, I think his problem is he has money. You know, sometimes people with money, you think stupid things. So that's what he's doing. Personally, I think he has too much money. You see, the tithe, demo, demo tswenya mo condom. Tithe has blocked his capability to reason God. If God is a good God, why didn't he take us to the right place to begin with? To give us a choice. So that if you don't want to be with him, you can be in an opposite place. Simple as that. And also, he's God. He doesn't need to consult me in order for me to say, yeah, I give you the right to go ahead. He's God. So first of all, Pastor, you are talking about the wrong God. So because you are talking about the wrong God, your questions make sense. The reason why his question makes sense is because he's talking about a certain God, but that God he's talking about, it's a wrong God. Continue. Says, why didn't he take us to the right place? Which right place? You just said that God is a mindset, so therefore there is no right place. There is no order to the chaos.
And
these are the preachings that you like.
The altar of your forefathers.
Yeah, no. You see, the thing is, he's dismissing things that, yes, should be dismissed. Like he says, yeah, this is why they call you to crusades and say, come and fight with the altars of your forefathers. Yes, the teaching you're talking about is wrong. And also the teaching that you are teaching is wrong. You see, you are feeding, how do they call it? Feeding the good and the bad at the same time. You're feeding the plastic and the bread all at the same time. You can't do both. Choose. Which one? Which one? Because he's teaching the idea that God is a mindset. There is no heaven. But then at the same time, he wants to still portray this idea that there is false teaching. Yeah. But what you're teaching is also false teaching. Go back to him.
The altar of your forefather John when only born again.
How are you fighting with the altars of your forefathers when you're born again? He's absolutely right about that. There's no such a thing. But we need to still ask you questions about what you are saying.
Because God has never been in a place God is in you. Meaning that any place.
So God has never been in a place God is in you. Now, like I said in the beginning, he's talking about the wrong God. You see, when he says God has never been in a place, God is in you. You see, there is truth in that God is in you. But then the place idea means he doesn't understand God. When the Bible says God is omnipresent, he's here and there. And so if you don't have the right idea or the right identity of God, you describe God the way he's describing God. So continue.
The place that God can be in you is in your mind. If God creates because God has never been in a place God is in you. Meaning that any place that God can be in you is in your mind.
It is a lot. Guys, like if I'm not even breaking down everything, yeah, he's saying a lot. Like, God is not in a place. We've explained that. If there's any place that God can be, it's in your mind.
If God created, it was by mind. If he formed, it was by mind.
If God is created, is by mind. You're saying God is man's creation.
That is why where did God come from?
So he says, that's why your pastors nowadays can't tell you where God came from. Brother, You know, let's be very clear here. You are talking about the wrong God. Is it simple? His problem is not big. You are describing the wrong God. The idea that God has an origin, the God you are talking about, it's a wrong one. The one we are talking about, you can't say. That's why we rebuke. I don't know, there's a version that likes using that term to say God who before his origins is from old. When it says is of whose origins is of old. I can't remember what version does that, but that version is wrong because it puts origin when you're speaking about God. You're talking about the wrong God. And so, right there, we gotta clear that air. Man, then, no, you are talking about the wrong God.
They can't tell you. If I know Rapela, we know the ministries we are penetrating. The mysteries of God. We should be able to tell us where God started from.
So if you know the mysteries of God, you should be able to tell us where God came from. Wrong God.
And what he was.
And what he was. It's God. Like, his questions are so grade R. I don't even know what to tell you. Yeah, like that's like basic. Like, where does God come from? What's your question? Where does God come from? What's your question?
In the beginning, the earth was empty. It was void. The Spirit of the Lord was hovering on the surface of the waters. So what makes existence is creation. What makes creation is the mind.
What makes creation is the mind. But where was the mind before God? Like, what he's asking is just silly. It's silly questions. Now, if these are your questions as an unbeliever, great. There are people that can answer these questions. Like the same way I'm dismissing these things, because these are very basic questions. These are very basic questions. But let's be very clear. If a person who's an unbeliever has these questions have answers. But if you're asking these questions as a person when you took the title apostle, where'd you get that? You got it from church. So what did you believe when you said you were an apostle? What did you believe that put you on the pulpit? You're a heretic. We shouldn't listen to you. It's shameful. This is nothing to be proud of. Like if you came and you said, if a person who's an unbeliever, let me clarify that. If a person who's an unbeliever, a non-Christian, says this, they are in their right. But he claims to be an apostle. For those that are outside the church, an apostle is a person who's very clear on doctrine. You can't just be, I'm not talking about modern or thingy. Ne? Yes. Wherever you are, an apostle is very clear on doctrine. How is he an apostle and he is very conflicted about the origin of the earth? His origin of the earth is that it's created in the mind. But where did the mind come from? And whose mind? I'll repeat that statement just in case you missed it. This guy.
The mysteries of God. We should be able to tell us where God started from and what he was. In the beginning, the earth was empty. It was void. The Spirit of the Lord was hovering on the surface of the waters.
Yes.
So what makes existence is creation. What makes creation is the mind.
That's nonsense. Like what he said there, it's absolute nonsense. It doesn't make sense. What makes creation is the mind. Or what makes existence, it's creation. But what makes the I'm even confusing myself. What makes creation? I think some people's confusion is deep. Brother, say that again.
It was void. The Spirit of the Lord was hovering on the surface of the waters. So what makes existence It's creation. What makes creation is the mind.
That's nonsense. So what makes creation? So there is no existence without creation. I think that's clear. That's why I say his questions, when you really break them down, they are very great R thinking. What makes it's just that he's saying it, sounds very elegant. What makes existence is creation? Yes, there's nothing in existence. There has to be creation in order for it's basic. But then he says, what makes creation is the mind. But whose mind? He hasn't answered that. Is it my mind? Is it your mind? Whose mind? Because he just said that God is. So whose mind was in existence for that thought? That's a very...
So the mind of God had not yet started creating.
So the mind of God had not started creating.
So there was void and emptiness. So who is God? Isaiah, but I saw him earlier before others could be. He's a treasure in darkness, meaning that he's a mind, he's an ancient mind that we can't tell people where it is coming from.
That's a very dangerous thing. For a pastor to say God is just an ancient mind, like there's a mind out there. That is, God is a mind. What does that mean?
Apostle, explain it.
No, don't explain. Because it's shameful. That's what it is. All right, guys. Kuli is next to me right here.
There are some musicians that don't live anymore, but we still play their minds. We listen to their minds.
So there are musicians that don't live, but we still play their mind. Why is he complicating simple things? It's music. Not to complicate. You see, we are listening to his mind. So by right of what he just said, let's just show how simplistic what he's saying. It sounds deep, but for a simple-minded person, what he's saying is so simplistic, it's childish. So when he says we're not listening to the musicians who are dead, we're not listening to the music, we're not listening to them, they are not here physically, but we are listening to their mind. Okay. The very idea that the mind that you are addressing was in the person, so it means there was an existence of a being that the mind or the mindset that you are addressing is in a person. So what he's saying here, it's so simplistic. So it contradicts what he said earlier on.
Their songs. Meaning that a mind can live forever and never die.
A mind can live forever and never die. So a mind is eternal. But what is it then? It still doesn't explain. Like he is describing the audacity of this man. He's describing a mind without having the details of the mind, who the mind is. But even what he's explaining isn't fully detailed, but he then blames us for having a full detail of God. The audacity. Okay, let me break it back down again. If you say pastors are busy making people entertain the idea of heaven and a God they don't know, okay, which the Bible describes, we know God, we know the character, we know what angers him, we know the 7 deadly sins that he hates, we know these things. So we are clear on God. But then he wants to introduce us to another God who is a what? Who is the mind. He is eternal. Now, notice what he has just done. Since the mind is eternal, and he just introduced the musicians who will still listen to their mind, he then goes to say, the mind actually lives on eternally. That creates a problem because he's saying that the mind of a person is eternal, making the mind God. So basically, in basic terms, he has a full description of a human being. He has a less description of a God. Am I wrong? In clarity of what he has just said, it is God who doesn't have a description. It is the man. Because remember, the musicians were here, they died, they had music, it's out there. We don't have a full description of God, but we know the human. It's an eternal, but when it comes to God, it's an eternal mind. Create your conclusions. That's why he said earlier on, God is in the mind. So basically, the man is God. I don't even know where to direct you, Pastor. You are very confused. I like the level of confusion he's under. It's next level.
But because the mind has got power to control the flesh, it can be able to sustain itself within the flesh.
And they clap hands. What are you clapping for?
I wish you
He says he wishes that he had people that were on the same plane level of thinking. No, what you are thinking is very dull.
I've got a lot in my head here.
Yeah, the lot is deceiving, you say. He says he has a lot in it. That lot is deceiving.
And when you start to understand what I'm trying to teach, you will know that the whole life of Christianity is not in another place, it's in your mind.
So Christianity is in your mind. What's not in the mind? Maybe you might want to check. You see that job you want, it's in your mind. Carry that one. See how it works. Christianity, which talks about relationship with other people, the Christianity literally says, do not be part of those that create associations and want to distance themselves from assembling together. That's a relationship with people type of a thing. So to say, oh no, Christianity is in your mind. Oh, what does that mean? When the Bible says Christianity is the fellowship with one another and fellowship with God. If you dismiss the one another aspect, you're even dismissing the 10 Commandments. If Christianity is in your head, what about the mental ones? Their Christianity is madness? What are you saying? Continue.
If he dwells in you and is creating through you and is speaking through you, where is he? In your stomach? No, it's in your mind. So the dominion of a man is a proper mindset that is conjuncted and focused towards what you want.
Soga. I've given him enough time to explain himself. The dominion of a man is, you see these ones? The Bible says Christianity is meant that a child could grasp it. He says, except you be as one of these little ones. He's bringing English. Christianity is not English, sir. Dominion of, listen to this statement. Listen to how complex he wants to sound.
It's not in another place, it's in your mind.
Okay.
If he dwells in you and is creating through you and is speaking through you, where is he? In your stomach? No, it's in your mind. So the dominion of a man is a proper mindset that is conjuncted and focused towards what you want.
The dominion of a man, it's conjuncted. May God punish the devil. May God punish the devil. Why do people like confusion? Find what he said. The dominion of a man is conjuncted. Where does conjunction come? Just teach the Bible. Leave this positive mindset. Hustle. This is hustle culture mindset. They think big English is theology. Big English is not theology. He's very well educated, but his education has dealt him a number. What he's saying is so simplistic, like the earlier parts. All these other parts here is just being difficult for nothing. Like it takes a scholar to listen to that, to these other things that he's saying. Conjunction. Whereas you tell, you go to your grandmother, tell her conjunction. Conjunction, the conjunction of the mind. You failed in university, you want to be a scholar in church. Please stop those things. Stop that behavior. It's nonsense. Yeah, there's a lot of them. They're out there. They know themselves. They like when they come to church, that's when they want to be scholars. English. But there's nothing here. If you think this is deep, I feel sorry for you and your generation. There's nothing here. This is empty. God is in the mind. What then happens to the aspect Christianity is in the mind? It's not about a place. What are these people that are here in this church doing in this church? If it's not about the place, what are they doing there? Okay, stop teaching things that are not there. You are teaching philosophy. Go teach philosophy. Leave the Bible. What is this? This is shameful, man. Sexuality show to daily Christian commentary videos. Please be very clear. When things are just not making sure, they are not making sure. Yeah, it's just that simple.